It's sort of a nice bittersweet taste knowing that you learn the most about yourself from your biggest setbacks, your biggest failures, your biggest challenges. It's almost like a rite of passage that you've got to do that first in order to learn the lesson. When I was in my early 20s, back in 2012, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't know from a career standpoint where I was going. And all that I knew is that I loved my health, I loved my fitness, and I loved my training. So I started off as an employed personal trainer working for another business. You know what? I loved it. I loved it. I cannot fault it. It's where I learned my craft, and it set me up where I am today. At the time, the guy who I was working for, I wanted to prove to him that I could be the best. I saw a bit of a role model in this guy, and I was like, right, he set up a business. I've got aspiration to do that. I'm going to make this guy proud. The best way that I could do that was to be the best, the busiest personal trainer. In the space of 4 years, I've gone from 0 clients and built my way up to 60 one-to-one hours a week. Now, 60 one-to-one personal training sessions per week is very unsustainable. But at the time, had the blinkers on. I was like, this is me. I am smashing it. At the time, it was like I was at the peak. As you guys well know, you can't stay at the peak for very long. You've got to make a choice to climb the next mountain and take the next step forwards, or you'll start to regress back down the climb you've just come from. Now, unfortunately, I was unaware of the options and I started to go backwards. I started to resent the thing that I was doing. I started to resent clients. I started to resent the business. I started to resent the boss. I started to resent all of it. And the comment that was made was like, Tom, you're like Jekyll and Hyde. One day you turn up, you're full of beans, you're full of energy. The next day you're flat, you're on the floor. There was no consistency to me. And I hit break point. I went out on a Friday night, knowing full well that I had a client the next morning at 8 o'clock. All I remember was waking up, opening my one eye, and I could hear my phone going off. 1 missed call, 2 missed calls, 3 missed calls. It was like 20 past 8. I was 20 minutes late and I was still in bed. It's the fastest I've ever got changed and the fastest that I've ever drove to the gym. Walked in massively embarrassed. It was completely against my whole belief system on training, performance and fitness. But here I was, Saturday morning, jaded, trying to make up for lost time with a client. Safe to say Monday, I had a very awkward conversation with my boss to conclude that I think it's time we part ways. And I'd fell in this self-dug hole of guilt, pity, overwhelm, stress. To everybody else, it seemed obvious. I think everybody else could just see what was happening. I was working 10 to 12 hour days, personal training, and I was completely whacked. Like, I just was battered. I had to rebuild and start again. And this time, build it properly. Like you guys, I had the work ethic, I had the attitude, I had the effort, I was willing to do the hard work. What I didn't have was the guiding system, which is what I help my clients with today. And the lessons, which I'm going to come on to, was number one, I had this badge of honor feeling of being the busiest personal trainer on the gym floor. It just felt powerful. I was the go-to guy in this facility and everybody was looking around, who's this Tom guy? It was feeding my ego. And because of this, I struggled to raise my hand and just ask for help. And when I've got to this peak, how can I climb the next challenge without continually doing the same thing and expecting a different result? How can I climb the next challenge? It just felt impossible for me to ask for that bit of guidance, that bit of support, that bit of, look, I'm a bit burnt, I'm a bit whacked. What can I do now to move and progress forwards? At the end of the day, I was protecting my ego by not asking for help. It felt good. Why would I want to give that up? And that hindered my personal development for a long period of time. That inability to put my ego aside and go, you know what, I haven't got all the answers here. I'm not the best at this. I need to better navigate and better learn how to move forwards and progress properly. Lesson number 2, I had an energy crisis. Like I said, I was up and down like a roller coaster. One day I was high, next day I was low. I was up, I was down, I was up, I was down. And I was giving away my energy to everyone else without looking after myself first. Sounds cliche, but it's true. That flight attendant who says, make sure you put your own mask on first before helping others, it's correct. Like, how can I show up as my best version of myself if I'm deflated, whacked, my training's poor, my sleep is poor, my energy's poor, my nutrition is poor? How am I going to put myself in the best position to help serve others if I can't even properly look after myself? And the biggest hurdle to that was actually saying no. I could not say no to that first client who wanted to squeeze in this gap, or that client who wanted to do first thing just before the gym opened. I couldn't say no to those things because I saw it as another opportunity to get my tally up on the whiteboard, get my tally up as the personal trainer with the most hours. And lesson number 3, when you do that for long enough, and I'm talking 3 or 4 years, I had a bit of an identity crisis. I had no idea what I stood for because I was serving everybody else and having to put on different masks all the time for the person who was in front of me. With the wide array of clientele that I had, I didn't know what I stood for in the end. It was almost like I was slotting into the client and making them comfortable and then doing the next and then doing the next and then doing the next. Which again was actually disservicing that person because I couldn't bring anything to the table. I was just really good at obviously helping them out in their situation and scenario without thinking long term for them. I was staying within that short term 1 hour. And that's where I learned with those 3 lessons that the gym session, yes, is important, but nowhere near as important as the other 23 hours outside of the gym. So quick recap on those lessons. What is the thing that your ego is trying to protect you from the most? And if you need help, and if you need structure and support, raise your hand. It's the biggest thing I wished I'd done sooner, and I'm still doing that to this day. Number 2, manage your energy first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Make sure that your glass is full before stepping out into the world and helping serve others. And number 3, get crystal clear on your values, your beliefs, what you stand for, and stand true on those from your identity. And more importantly, your future identity. What is it that you want to be known for on your path to becoming the best personally, physically, and professionally? After that evolution of what is now over 10 years ago, I made it my mission to build the systems, structure, and support to help guide my clients, not only with that 1 hour, but the other 23 hours outside of the gym across their identity, emotions, mindset, and physique. If you found some value in that, I'd really appreciate a like or a comment. And if you want further information on potentially me helping you out, I'm very active on Instagram. So drop me a direct message on Instagram and I'll have a chat.